Ladies and gentlemen, let me say this clearly. Financial freedom is not a dream. It's not a fairy tale. It's not for some people. It is a choice, a decision, a structure. And most importantly, it is available to you right now, but only if you're willing to get honest, stop blaming, and take total ownership of your life and your money. Most people are stuck in a loop. They wake up, work 40, 50, even 60 hours a week, pay bills, maybe save a little, and then they repeat it every single month. And the kicker, they think this is just how it's supposed to be, like being financially stuck is some kind of permanent life sentence. But I'm here to tell you the truth. You're not stuck. You're just operating on old programming, and it's time to update the system. The first shift you must make is understanding that financial freedom doesn't come from how much you earn, it comes from how much you own your outcomes. If you're waiting for a raise, a lottery ticket, or your business to magically take off, you're still in fantasy mode. Money doesn't just land in the lap of the lucky, it flows to people who are intentional. People who track, people who plan, people who act like their future is already here and start behaving like the version of themselves they want to become. You don't become financially free when you hit six figures. You become financially free the moment you decide you're done making emotional decisions about money. You're done treating your bank account like a mystery. You're done outsourcing your future to circumstances you pretend you can't control. That's the day it starts. Let me break something down. It's not about how much money you make, it's about how you think about the money you have. I know people who make $300 zero a year and they're broke. I know others making $60K who are stacking savings, investing monthly, building side income streams, and paying off debt. The difference isn't income, it's habits, it's identity, it's clarity. You want financial freedom. Start tracking every dollar that comes in and out, not because it's fun, not because it's sexy, but because it's the standard of someone who is running their life like a CEO, not winging it like a broke intern. You think budgeting is restriction. No, budgeting is self-respect. It is the system that tells your money what to do instead of wondering where it went. You want to fly first class, you better first learn how to manage your last $100 like it matters because it does. Money is a tool, not a trophy. It responds to intention, and intention starts with discipline. And discipline, by the way, isn't about being perfect, it's about being clear. Clarity is your financial superpower. If you don't have clear goals, deadlines, and numbers you're chasing, you're just spinning. You need to know your exact number for freedom, the monthly income that would allow you to leave your job, travel, invest, or retire your parents. If you don't have a target, you don't have a direction. And if you don't have a direction, don't be surprised when another year goes by and you're still in the same place. Now, I'm not saying it's easy. This journey takes effort, sacrifice, and a level of self-awareness that most people aren't willing to face. But the rewards, they're insane. Waking up without financial stress, having options, saying yes because you want to, not because you have to. That's the real flex, that's real freedom, and here's the secret. You don't get there all at once. You get there $1, $10, $100 at a time. You build new habits. You read books on money instead of binging another show. You say no to the thing that feels good now so you can say yes to the life you actually want. You move with purpose. You execute in silence. And you build the life you keep saying you deserve, finally backed by action. I need you to stop waiting for life to become easier and start becoming stronger. Stop calling it a dream and start calling it your plan. Financial freedom is not some magical destination, it's a strategic path walked daily by people who make one bold decision after another. And now it's your turn, because if you're listening to this, it means you've already heard the wake-up call. Now it's time to get moving, make the plan, track the money, build the habits, become the person. Financial freedom is not a dream, it's a decision. Let's go. Financial freedom doesn't begin with a higher paycheck, a bonus, or a business deal. It begins the moment you take radical responsibility for where you are financially and where you're going. That's it. Most people get this part wrong. They think, if I just made more money, everything would be different. But the truth is, if you can't manage what you have now, you're not going to manage more. You're going to scale chaos, you're going to scale stress. More money won't save you. It will only amplify what already exists in your system. And if your current system is based on avoidance, excuses, or vague goals, more income is just going to make the consequences louder. Responsibility doesn't sound sexy. It doesn't trend on social media. It doesn't make you feel good in the short term. But it is the foundation of every single person who has broken free financially and stayed there. Responsibility means you stop pointing fingers. You stop blaming your boss, the economy, your upbringing, your education. You stop looking for someone to come save you. You stop waiting, and you start owning every decision you make with your time, energy, and money. That is the unlock. That is when you stop reacting to your bank balance and start designing your financial future with intention. Think about it. You could triple your income today, and without the discipline of responsibility, you'd still be living paycheck to paycheck a year from now. Why? Because without responsibility, you default to spending based on emotion. You start justifying things that don't align with your long-term goals. You tell yourself you deserve the luxury bag, the fancy dinner, the spontaneous vacation, because you work hard, and maybe you do. But responsibility asks a different question. Are these actions getting you closer to the financial freedom you say you want, or just making you feel better in the short term? Responsibility means doing what works, not what feels good. When you take full responsibility, you stop being vague with your finances. You start tracking everything. You know exactly how much comes in and how much goes out every single week. You stop hoping things will balance out. You start telling your money where to go. You stop being surprised by your bank account. You know what's happening with your money because you're in the driver's seat now, not the passenger. And listen, if that sounds overwhelming, that's exactly why most people never do it. Because taking responsibility forces you to confront the gap between who you are and who you say you want to be, and that's uncomfortable, but discomfort is the price of progress. You cannot change what you won't face. If you don't like your financial reality right now, I'm here to tell you, you are not broken, you are not behind, but you do need to be honest, because responsibility thrives in honesty. You need to get real about what's not working. Are you overspending to feel successful? Are you avoiding your finances because they make you anxious? Are you relying on someone else to manage your future for you? If the answer is yes to any of those, that's okay. But now that you see it, you have to own it, because no one's coming to do it for you. Let me be even more direct. If you're not tracking your spending, if you don't have a budget, if you're not reviewing your goals every week, you're not serious about financial freedom. You might want it, you might dream about it, but you're not in the game. Responsibility isn't something you visit when you're motivated. It's something you commit to daily. It's showing up for your financial future even when it's boring. Even when no one is watching. Even when it doesn't look like it's paying off yet. That's what separates the free from the frustrated. The people who live with options and time freedom didn't get there by accident. They built systems, they built character, and it all started the moment they said, "This is my responsibility. No more blaming, no more waiting. I'm in charge now." So here's what I'm asking you to do. Take one action today that proves to yourself you're ready to lead. Open your financial statements. Calculate your net worth, even if it scares you. Create a weekly money ritual. Set financial goals that are tied to real numbers and timelines, because when you measure, you improve. And when you take ownership, you win. Responsibility is not about being perfect. It's about refusing to live passively. You don't have to have it all figured out, but you do have to start acting like your future depends on you, because it does. And the moment you do that, everything changes, not because you made more money, but because you finally stepped into the identity of someone who is in control. Financial freedom doesn't belong to those who make the most money. It belongs to those who take the most ownership. So ask yourself, are you waiting or are you building? Are you hoping or are you deciding? Because it's not about what you have, it's about what you choose. Most people are obsessed with income. They believe the key to wealth is making more money, but I've worked with too many high earners who are broke and too many modest earners who are building real wealth to let that myth stand. The truth is simple and uncomfortable. Your income is a factor, but it is not the determining factor. Your habits are. Your money behaviors, the ones you practice daily without thinking, those are what determine your financial trajectory. And if you're not intentional about them, you're likely sabotaging your future while believing you're just surviving the present. You can't out-earn bad habits. Let me say that again, because it needs to land. You cannot out-earn bad money habits. If you earn $150K a year but spend $160K, you are not wealthy. You're trapped. You're performing success instead of building it. You're living paycheck to paycheck in nicer clothes, and if you're telling yourself, once I make more, I'll fix it, you're lying. You won't, because money magnifies your habits. If you're undisciplined with a $50,000 salary, you'll be undisciplined with $500,000. You won't suddenly become someone who budgets, invests, and saves just because more money shows up. You become that person through habits, not hope. Habits are the invisible infrastructure of your financial reality. They're the small choices repeated over and over that form your identity. Do you check your bank balance daily or avoid it out of fear? Do you plan your spending at the beginning of the month or spend emotionally as the days go by? Do you invest automatically or tell yourself someday, every year while inflation eats away your buying power? These aren't one-time events. These are systems, and they're either working for you or against you. What most people call financial stress is actually just the cost of unmanaged habits. They're constantly reacting. Late payments, overdraft fees, surprise expenses, because they never built the systems to anticipate and plan. And when you live like that, wealth becomes impossible, not because you don't deserve it, but because you've trained your nervous system to normalize chaos. You've normalized avoidance. You've normalized living in the gap between who you are and who you know you could be. Now here's the part that matters most. You are not stuck. You are not broken, but you are responsible. And responsibility means examining your habits and upgrading them, not shaming yourself. It means being honest about what's no longer serving you. That $6 coffee every morning might not be a big deal in isolation. But if it's connected to a bigger habit of unconscious spending, of seeking comfort through consumption, then it's a symptom of something deeper. And if you want wealth, you need to go to the root, not just the surface. You don't need a higher salary to begin building wealth. You need a higher standard. That's what habits are, a reflection of your personal standards. If your standard is, I never spend more than I earn, you will find a way to save, no matter your income. If your standard is, I invest before I spend, you will build wealth faster than most people earning double your income. If your standard is, I track and review my finances weekly, you will make smarter decisions because clarity eliminates chaos. And none of that requires a raise. It requires discipline. It also requires patience, because habits don't pay off instantly, and that's why most people don't stick with them. They want the six-figure savings account now. They want the investments to double overnight, but that's not how wealth works. Wealth rewards the long game. Wealth belongs to people who are willing to delay gratification in exchange for permanent power. People who understand that consistency compounds, that showing up daily with integrity will beat occasional bursts of motivation every time. Your salary might open the door, but your habits decide if you walk through it or stand outside waiting for something to change. Because here's the truth that most don't want to hear. There are people earning less than you who are passing you. They are doing more with less, not because they're smarter, but because they're consistent. Because they treat every dollar like a decision, not a mistake to be corrected later. Because they're building muscle while others are making excuses. So if you want to become wealthy, don't ask for more money until you master your current money. Get intimate with your spending. Get serious about your savings. Automate your investments. Build habits that reflect your goals, not your feelings, because feelings fluctuate. But habits, when built with intention, will carry you even when you're tired, uncertain, or scared. You don't need to wait for the perfect job or the next promotion or some external permission slip to start behaving like someone who is building wealth. You can act now. You can adopt the habits now. And the moment you do that, the shift begins, not because your income changed, but because you did. So remember this always: your habits, not your salary, determine your wealth. And today is the perfect day to start choosing habits that lead to the life you keep saying you want. When people think about building wealth or achieving financial freedom, they often imagine these giant, dramatic shifts. Quitting a job to start a business, investing thousands into stocks overnight, or winning the lottery. They think the change needs to be big and flashy to be meaningful, but here's the truth: big, flashy moves often create temporary results, while small, boring, consistent actions are what actually create real, lasting financial freedom. And the reason most people stay stuck isn't because they're incapable or underpaid, it's because they underestimate the power of what they can do consistently over time. Consistency is what separates dreamers from doers. Everyone wants the freedom. Everyone wants to wake up when they want, go where they want, and never worry about money again. But wanting isn't enough. It's the small financial disciplines, repeated daily, that move you forward. Making your coffee at home every day instead of buying it might not seem like it matters, but that's not just $5 a day. That's $150 a month. That's $800 a year. And if you invested that instead of spending it, compounding would turn that tiny habit into tens of thousands of dollars over a few years. It's not just the $5, it's the habit of intentionality, the habit of being in control of your money instead of letting convenience run your life. Think about brushing your teeth. You don't wait until they're rotting to start brushing them. You do it every day because you understand the long-term consequences of neglect. Why don't we treat our money the same way? Why do we think we can ignore our finances until there's a crisis, and then try to solve it with one big gesture? The people who are financially free aren't lucky. They are consistent. They check their bank accounts daily. They track their expenses weekly. They review their goals monthly. It's not exciting. It's not Instagram worthy, but it works. The problem is, people get bored. They want the shortcut, not the system. They want the high of a big financial win, but they don't want the discipline of daily tracking. They want to save, but they don't want to say no to eating out. They want to invest, but they don't want to read the basics or automate a contribution every paycheck. Small actions don't feel sexy, but they build character, and character sustains wealth longer than any raise or investment tip ever could. If you saved $10 a day and invested it into a basic index fund averaging 7% annually, you'd have nearly $150, in 20 years. That's from a decision most people don't even consider worth their time. But what if you paired that with other small actions, like setting up automatic savings transfers or committing to paying off one debt at a time using the snowball method, or listening to a personal finance podcast for 10 minutes each day instead of scrolling TikTok? None of these things are difficult, but they require consistency, and consistency is the new currency of wealth. So many people get stuck in an all or nothing mentality. They think if they can't save $1,000 a month, why bother saving $50? But that mindset is exactly what keeps them broke. It's not about the amount, it's about building the identity of someone who saves, someone who respects their money, someone who is moving forward even when it's not perfect. Small actions compound. A $50 saving habit today can become $500 later because you trained your brain to make it automatic. You trained yourself to prioritize the future over fleeting pleasure, and eventually that builds momentum, and momentum builds wealth. What I've learned is that your daily money behaviors are either making you rich or keeping you stuck. Every time you spend mindlessly, avoid your budget, or push off saving for next month, you're casting a vote for the life you don't want. But every time you show up, even in a small way, even with $5, even with 5 minutes, you are voting for financial freedom, and those votes count more than you think. When I look at the most successful people I've coached or worked with, their paths look different, but their habits do not. They all value consistency. They all have daily, weekly, and monthly financial rhythms, and most of them didn't start with a ton of money. They started with a ton of commitment. They weren't waiting for the perfect moment. They didn't wait to feel motivated. They just acted again and again, and one day they looked up and realized the life they were building quietly had become the life everyone else wished for. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to make huge changes overnight. You just need to start small and stay consistent. That's how you win. That's how you build freedom, not from a windfall, but from discipline. So the next time you think your $5 decision doesn't matter, think again. The next time you think skipping your budget review is no big deal, think again, because these moments add up. They shape your future one choice at a time. You don't become financially free by accident. You do it by showing up daily when no one's watching and doing the small things that your future self will thank you for. It's not always fun, but it works. And in a world chasing quick wins, consistency is your unfair advantage. If there's one truth I wish more people would understand earlier in life, it's this: you cannot save your way to financial freedom. Saving is important, yes. Saving creates safety, it gives you options, it buys you time. But saving alone won't make you wealthy. Investing will, and the sooner you start, the greater the reward. Time is the magic multiplier. Time is the leverage that turns small, consistent actions into life-changing outcomes. Waiting to invest until you make more money or feel more ready is the most expensive decision you'll ever make, and most people don't realize it until it's too late. People overestimate how much money they need to start investing and underestimate how valuable time is in the equation. You don't need thousands to begin. You need consistency and a willingness to learn, because every year you wait, you lose what's called compound growth. That's where your money earns money, and then that money earns more money over and over again. It's like planting a tree. The earlier you plant it, the bigger it will grow, but wait too long and you miss the shade. Let's say you invest $200 a month starting at age 25, and you do that consistently until you're 45. That's 20 years. With an average return of 7%, you'll have over $100,000, but here's where it gets wild. If you stop contributing at 45 and never add another dollar, but let that money sit and grow until you're 65, it will more than double. All from doing nothing. Now compare that to someone who waits until 35 to start and invests $200 a month until 65. That's 30 years of contributions. Longer, more money out of pocket. But guess what? They still end up with less than the person who started early and stopped at 45. That's the power of time. It beats hustle, it beats strategy, it even beats higher income when applied consistently. This is why I say investing early beats saving later, because once you've lost time, you can't get it back. You can earn more, you can cut expenses, you can change jobs, but you cannot rewind time. Every year you wait to invest is costing you future freedom, and the cost isn't just financial, it's emotional. It's the stress of playing catch up, it's the anxiety of wondering if you'll ever retire, it's the regret of knowing you could have had more options, more choices, more peace if you just acted sooner. And let me be clear, acting doesn't mean being perfect. You don't need to pick the perfect stock or know everything about the market. In fact, the most successful investors are usually the most boring ones. They set up automatic contributions to index funds or ETF. They invest the same amount regularly, whether the market is up or down. They don't try to time the market. They stay in the market. They focus on time in the game, not timing the game. And over decades, those simple, steady actions crush the results of people who try to outsmart the system. I get it, though. Investing can feel intimidating. It's full of jargon and fear, mongering headlines and people telling you what to do with your money. But here's the truth, you don't need to be an expert to start. You just need to be committed. You can open a Roth IRA. You can contribute to your 401k, especially if there's a match. That's free money. You can use apps that round up your purchases and invest the difference. You can watch one video or read one article a week until you understand the basics. Because if you're smart enough to earn money, you're smart enough to grow it. And when people say, "But I don't have money to invest right now," my question is always, do you have anything you can cut or reallocate? Because chances are you do, that subscription you forgot about. That impulse Amazon buy, that takeout 3 times a week, I'm not saying you can't enjoy your money. I'm saying your future deserves to enjoy it too. So give your future a chance. Prioritize investing early, even if it's small. Even if it's $20, because those dollars are time stamped and their value grows the longer they stay invested. Too often, people try to play financial catch-up in their 40s or 50s, scrambling to save as much as they can, feeling pressure, feeling regret. And while it's never too late to start, it's always better to start now. Every day matters, every dollar matters. You're not just investing money, you're investing belief in your future. You're building a habit that tells your brain, I take care of myself. That kind of belief system is powerful. It creates momentum, and momentum becomes confidence, and confidence is what keeps you going when progress feels slow. So don't wait for a raise, don't wait for clarity, don't wait for the market to be perfect. Start where you are with what you have. Let time do the heavy lifting. The version of you 10 years from now is going to look back and be so grateful you started today, even if it was just with $20, because time is your greatest asset. Don't waste it waiting for the right time. This is the right time. You can hand two people the exact same paycheck, the same investment opportunities, the same budgeting tools, and one will thrive while the other stays stuck. Why? It's not about luck. It's not about the economy. It's not even about intelligence. It's about mindset. Your mindset is the internal lens that colors how you see money, how you manage money, and ultimately how you grow money. It determines your daily decisions, your long-term vision, and your ability to act even when fear is loud. The truth is, you don't get wealthy with just strategy. You get wealthy by aligning your mindset with your goals. Money is not just numbers, it's emotion, it's psychology, it's history, and for most people, their relationship with money was shaped long before they ever earned their first paycheck. Maybe they grew up in a household where money was scarce and always caused stress. Maybe they were told that money is evil, or that rich people are greedy, or that wanting more is selfish. These stories get embedded into our subconscious, and we carry them into adulthood like invisible weights. We say we want financial freedom, but deep down we feel guilty asking for more. We sabotage our success because it feels unfamiliar, even unsafe. That's why mindset work isn't optional, it's essential. To shift your financial reality, you have to rewrite your financial beliefs. You have to become aware of your inner dialogue. When you hear yourself say things like, I'm just not good with money, or people like me don't get rich, you have to stop and challenge that voice. Ask, who told me that? Is it true? Or is it just a story I've repeated so often it became my truth? Because if you don't rewrite the script will keep writing your results. A strong money mindset starts with taking responsibility. Not blame responsibility. Blame says the system is rigged. Responsibility says I'll learn how to play the game better. Blame says my job doesn't pay enough. Responsibility says I'll build skills that allow me to earn more. This mindset shift is powerful because it puts you back in control. And people who feel in control are more likely to take consistent, strategic action, the kind of action that leads to financial freedom over time. Another key element of mindset is focusing on abundance, not scarcity. Scarcity says there's never enough, not enough time, not enough opportunity, not enough money. So you hoard, you hesitate, you fear risk. But abundance says there's always a way. Abundance doesn't mean being reckless. It means trusting that with effort and intention, your situation can improve. It means believing that money is a tool, not a master. It means asking, how can I? Instead of saying, I can't. That subtle shift in language changes how you show up. It changes what you notice. It opens your mind to new paths, side hustles, mentorship, smarter spending, investing early, passive income streams. These things don't appear in a scarcity mindset. They appear when you open yourself to possibility. Visualization is another mindset practice that works, not because it's magic, but because it conditions your brain to expect success. When you visualize the version of you who is financially free, calm, confident, generous, and in control, you start making decisions that align with that identity. You spend less on things that don't matter. You invest more in things that do. You speak up for raises, you negotiate, you learn, you act, all because you've trained your brain to believe that you are someone who builds wealth. And that belief is everything. Financial freedom isn't just about numbers, it's about identity. Who do you believe you are? Who are you becoming? Because if you see yourself as broke, you'll act like it. But if you see yourself as someone who values money, understands money, and respects it, you'll make better choices even when your income is small, and those choices build habits, and habits create outcomes. Mindset also shows up when life gets hard, when a bill is unexpected, when income drops, when the market dips. In those moments, your mindset either keeps you anchored or knocks you off course. A reactive mindset panics. A resilient mindset pauses and adapts. The financially free aren't free because life is easy. They're free because their mindset is trained to see challenge as opportunity, trained to stay calm, trained to keep showing up no matter what. Surrounding yourself with the right environment also shapes your money mindset. If everyone around you complains about money, avoids budgeting, and mocks investing, you'll eventually mirror that energy. But if you surround yourself with people who think big, talk growth, and make financial learning normal, you rise, their beliefs rub off on you, their confidence becomes contagious. That's why community matters. That's why mentorship matters. Your money will rise to the level of the room you're in, so choose that room wisely. You can follow all the financial tips in the world, but if your mindset isn't aligned, you'll self-sabotage. You'll spend impulsively, you'll avoid investing, you'll make excuses instead of decisions. So do the inner work, journal, reflect, rewrite, declare new beliefs, act on them, let your mindset evolve as your money grows. Financial freedom is not just a math problem, it's a mindset game. Win it there first and the rest follows.